Hey, Matt. I think your I guess conclusion that you had brought up earlier about having a shooter from the back. Have you ever seen the documentary JFK: The Smoking Gun about the Secret Service agent? Or I think in that documentary they talk about he heard the first shot and he accidentally, got off a shot from his
Hmm.
M16 rifle.
Yes. Yes, I'm familiar with that claim or
I
argument.
mean, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
And I believe there's a documentary on Netflix for a long time. Uh, the it's based on a book called Mortal Error by a guy named Bonner Menninger, I think his name is. But basically, part of it, a lot of it stems from looking at this Zapruder film, and here's the question: Is it because people who believe this theory think that the driver or one of the other Secret Service agents turned and fired with their AR, and it's timed up, around the time when Kennedy's headshot is. The question is, from what they're seeing, is that a flash of light, like the glare from the sun hitting the metal, or are they actually firing the weapon, right? So I agree that there's something there. You look at it, you're like, huh. But I do think it's a glare, and here's why. There are zero witnesses that support the idea that the Secret Service agent fired a shot, to my knowledge. And I didn't read the book, but I did watch the documentary. And that's because you watch it, and you're like, huh, it's compelling if that's true, that's what we're seeing. But I don't, and this British film's really grainy. It's kind of hard to pick out what's happening. I know there are people that think that you really can. Um, but what the main thing I come back to is there aren't witnesses, uh, and I don't think that the government would have covered up for anyone if they incidentally shot the president. Even if it was an accident, maybe they would go easy on him in sentencing, right? Or maybe, he
Yeah, why would they
whatever.
cover up for some
But
like
that's
Well, I mean,
yeah, that's the
he he,
main thing to
he
me.
killed himself.
What's that?
the
I
secret?
think
You're
he,
saying the Secret
I think
Service
he, I
agent
think,
killed himself?
yeah, like a couple months later.
I didn't know that. I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah, he
As it,
killed
it's
himself. Two
Bill, isn't
shots
it
to the back
Bill
of the
Greer?
head. Clinton side. Uh,
Um,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could see at that time if you were the Secret Service agent, like you and the president died on your watch. I can't imagine that would be an easy thing to handle.
yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah,
Hey,
Um,
Matt, I
yeah,
had
but
a
so
second question.
yeah, go ahead. But I
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
I'm probably gonna cover that at some point just because people bring it up all the time and I think it deserves being covered. My initial take on it is that I don't think it's credible given all of the other evidence in the case. It just wouldn't really fit in. But I'm happy to look at the evidence and I'll cover it at some point. Go ahead.
Thanks, Matt. You know, the Warren Commission had a lot of heavy political hitters. Like Gerald Ford. You had, of course, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and then you have Arlen Specter that was behind, the magic bullet theory. I'm just kind of curious. They've been in such the public light for so long. Like, has anyone ever asked them like how the hell they came up with that?
With the magic bullet theory?
Yeah, like you would think that. I remember Arlen Specter. He was a
Yeah.
senator up until about 10 years ago. Like, when someone like it in one of his town halls just kind of ask him point blank, or maybe even like a journalist who would kind of say, about that war, the Warren Commission report. Could you kind of give us,
Right.
like some additional context, because that's just such a, it's a, huge, article of documentation. It kind of gets lost on people.
Arlen Specter told, I want to say it's Cyril Wecht. It might have been someone else. It's in my outline somewhere, but he admitted that he they came up with the magic bullet out of necessity. So the theory was, they're like, look, we have three bullets because before they thought they didn't know about the James Tague injury. That's the whole thing when it comes to these bullets and the magic bullet theory.
That was the
They
Secret
thought
Service office agent.
James Tague is a bystander who's standing basically one street over, leaning up against the overpass,
Yep.
and one of the first or second shots misses the limo altogether and hits the concrete in front of James Tague, causing the concrete to come up and cut his ear, and his ear's bleeding. And a cop sees his ear and then bleeding, and then they see the point in the concrete where the bullet had hit. So that takes, but his
So that was the
testimony
first
was
shot.
discovered. Well, that's one of the shots. That takes one of the shots off the board. Well, then you have the headshot. That's two, at least.
Yeah.
And then that only leaves you with one bullet to account for all of Kennedy's other injuries and all of Connolly's injuries. But before they found out about the bystander, James Tague, they were going to attribute Kennedy's injuries to one bullet, his back and chest injury, and then a separate bullet they were going to attribute to Connolly. But they had to, it had that's the only way it could work. So the answer is he made his theory to fit the case, not because he believed it was what.
And why does it? Why
happen.
three? Is that, were there 3 shots heard, or was that casing?
There were 3 shells found in the schoolbook depository building.
Schoolbook depository.
And the majority of witnesses said there were 3 shots, but it is all over the place, for anywhere from 3 to 6. A lot of people said a lot of different things. There's a bad echo in Dealey Plaza, so it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I was there kind of recently, actually, and I don't know if the trees have grown a lot, but I remember looking and being like, "That seems like a tough shot." But I'm not a gun person, so maybe
it would have been an easy shot to make if you just had to do it once, but to do it to fire the first shot and then to have to reload, fire the next shot, and then reload, and then
because it was a bolt action rifle,
chamber it, bolt action, not reload, but chamber it,
yeah.
There's a concrete amount of time. I forget what the exact number is, a window of time that he would have had to do that in. Sharpshooters were not able to recreate that under the same circumstances. So, and that's that little statement I made. There's an asterisk with a 10-minute section of a podcast going into the granular details of, well, they did this, but they didn't do this, and yada, yada, yada. Right. Bottom line, they couldn't recreate it under the same circumstances.